Hey, everybody. This is Amazing Fantasy Football. I am Josh, and he is,
Chris.
and Chrissy is, as always. We are here today to talk about some winners of the NFL draft from the rounds 2 and on. We covered first round last week, and this
Mhm.
week we're going to be talking about a few players from rounds 2 through 7, and then a couple of veterans, some veterans we like that were impacted by the NFL draft that just happened. Boy, does it seem like why does it seem like the draft happened a month ago?
A lot of coverage. That's why. A lot of content around the draft. Justifiably
I'm
so.
not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. My last week seriously feels like it went by. It took a month to go by, and yet it took about 5 seconds.
Dang.
I know that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense, but that's how time works in my head. So how you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing amazing. Having a great day. Excited about the format of today's show. I like the
Mhm,
fact that we included a vet at the end there.
mhm.
I'm excited about all of the guys I get to talk about as winners today, but I'm also looking forward to the losers portion of the show next week because I think this is all
That
going to
is
be
next week.
very valuable fantasy insight, especially on the dynasty tick.
Yeah. So we got our, like we already brought it. We're talking about some rookies this week. I gotta say that a lot of mine are more dynasty focused. So if you're looking for some more redraft, but these are all names that kind of just shove in the back of your brain, and
I mean, it's the
and just
dynasty time of year, so
it is, but some of these, like a lot of these names are just like in case these guys have a good week or something, you can be like, I remember those jokers talking about those
sure
guys. Yeah,
thing,
maybe I should.
absolutely. Take a
Maybe I
chance at
should
the end of
like
your
think about picking
draft
them
or
up.
pick them up during the week, during the season on waivers. Absolutely, good
Yep.
names to keep in mind for sure.
But first, we got a couple of news things that we need to address here. The
Okay.
first is the Lions they waived Carrion Johnson, and the Eagles picked him up off of waivers. Man, I gotta say, I love this for Deandra Swift. I freaking
Mhm.
love this. I love it for Swift so much. And even to a lesser extent, Jamal Williams too. Like, I mean, it's
For
more or
sure.
less just those two guys. I looked at the names behind them, those two, and I'm like, I don't know who these guys are.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend and also we just got done with the draft too, but I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I know every NFL player. But usually when you come across a name that I haven't seen or heard of, I mean, that's a pretty deep dive right there.
Fair.
But
Fair.
so DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams, man, the Lions, they just drafted Penei Sewell too. He might have to bump over to right tackle for at least this season. But even then, with a guy that talented, it
Mm.
shouldn't be that big of a deal for him to
Mm-hmm.
move from left to
Mm-hmm.
right. I love this, man. I mean, DeAndre Swift, you might remember, and if you forgot, that's cool, that he was RB18 last year.
Oh,
Do you
I didn't
remember that?
forget. I didn't forget. No, no, not
Cool.
at all.
And he only played in 13 games too. He finished with 12.8 points per game, half PPR, of course. Um, and it was a bit of a roller coaster ride, but he was also like he was getting kind of some limited usage in some games because he was also fighting for carries with AP, the aforementioned Carrion Johnson, and I feel like with them slimming down their running back room to just these two, I think that shows a huge vote of confidence for DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams too. Like he had some fantasy relevant games in Green Bay too. Usually that was when Aaron Jones was hurt, but it's not to say that. I mean, how do you feel? What do you think about this? Is DeAndre Swift like the 1-2 guy, and then is Jamal Williams on third, or are they just going to rotate in and out, and you're never going to be able to kind of tell
I th-
whatever?
I think you're on the right track. I like to put it this way: the releasing of Carry On and the so far no mention of AP coming back. I will say that is one trepidation I have, keeping in mind he's still out there and he's got a history
I
with the team.
mean,
Secondarily, the receiving core worries a little. But I'm still on your side in that I agree with you that what was I saying? I like to look at it this way. It makes the picture more clear. Removing him from the
it
situation
certainly
and
does.
knowing I have two talented guys to take the role, I'm not saying it's going to be a 50-50 split, but Jamal Williams was signed for a reason. He's a talented dude. He's actually a really good backup. Like he not only does he fit it in the mold of He can do it all, but also like the personality. He's he's actually really
He's a
loved by
team
his
player, and
teammates.
he's
Yeah,
willing to
he's
do
loved
it.
by his teammates, coaches. He's an easygoing, kind of happy. He's got a great smile if you haven't ever seen him in person or a photo or video.
What are you making a dating video for
Yeah,
this guy?
right,
Like,
right. So I think no, I'm saying he just fits into the running back room very well. Like you said, that running back room is virtually thinned out to 2, right? So now
yeah,
I'm really happy with what Swift's the piece of the pie that he's gonna get. Because no, I don't believe it's gonna be 50-50. Even if it's 60-40 on the negative side of things for Swift, with I think his efficiency is even going to be better. However, I'm probably more like a 70-30 guy, maybe. I think I could see
it being a 2-1 with Swift being the primary guy there.
I just think Jamal Williams is the perfect backup. I think their running back room is clear now. That is the best way
I
to
don't
put
think
it.
he's going to be a backup. I think he's going to be more of a role player.
And I think our opinion keep raising on Goff this offseason. And I've been trying to hold out, but they've got a defensive-minded coach. I think this is going to be a run attack. I think Goff is going to fit well with the play action and taking the load off his shoulders. And you're right. I think even a 70-30, I think the volume in the run game is going to be there for Swift.
Yeah. So now let's look at the other side of that coin with Carrion Johnson getting picked up by the Eagles. I personally, I was already kind of down on Miles Sanders, and this just shoves him way, way down in my book. But not only did they pick up Carrion Johnson, but they also drafted Kenneth Gainwell out of Kentucky, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Memphis.
Sorry, I knew I was geographically close.
Wrong blue and wrong tiger, I think.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways. So it seems like the Eagles are definitely looking for a type of a guy that can do it all. You know, like they now have 4 guys that can kind of do it all.
Right.
Maybe Boston Scott is not the power guy that maybe the other 3
might
be.
He's the smaller of all of them.
Exactly.
Even smaller than
but
Miles,
I mean,
yes.
This is going to be one ugly mess of a backfield. I just have that feeling. And personally, I don't want to go anywhere near Miles Sanders. He might be the most talented, but it might be Kenneth Gainwell too. And honestly, for dynasty purposes, I was thinking about this earlier today because I was just like, oh, redraft. Don't really like Miles Sanders. For dynasty, you gotta hate this as a Miles Sanders manager.
I was gonna say
completely torpedoes his value.
I was gonna say kind of an opposite. Not an opposite approach. I was just going to say, even from a dynasty perspective, you have to begin to worry now. I'm not saying it's torpedoing it. I'm just saying, now what are you going to do? Wait a year or 2? Because now we're looking at a coaching staff that brought these guys in, these other backs. Now we're looking at a quarterback that neither me or you believe in whatsoever. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I can be biased against the Eagles. But
I think we need to clarify that I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. I'm not saying that he can't succeed. I'm not trying to ride the fence here either. Like I'm not a big fan of his, but I'm like, if he were to succeed, like, okay, I guess.
I think he's a career backup. I don't think he's the answer. I think he's gone.
I think so too, but I'm not. He definitely belongs as my 3rd quarterback in a super flex league. But we're talking about Miles Sanders and all these guys, not Hurts.
But no, I think the ship is sinking.
The sip is sinking.
The sip I just took of my drink has already sunk. But no, I think I'm down on Philly along with you. I thought torpedo is a bit of a strong term. I think redraft.
Really?
I think me and you are on the same page in redraft. However, I think dynasty, there's still some value there. What you can do with that value at this point, I don't know. I really don't. Maybe make a move in next week's draft. I don't know. Rookie dynasty.
I kind of don't think so because so Miles Sanders was kind of sitting up here with Boston Scott getting some play action and everything. They draft Kenneth Gainwell, brings it down a little bit more. Bring in Carrion Johnson.
I think Carrion's the goal line.
He's been torpedoed, man. They completely blown up his. At least in my eyes, I don't want to have anything to do with.
And you have a running quarterback with Carrion Johnson, so there goes your goal line for Miles.
Okay, and I bring this up because. Even in a year now, Miles Sanders might not even be with that team, and he's just going to be and that's why you think he might still have some value. Is that
I'm saying 2 things? I'm saying the coaching staff turns over in 1 year or 2, probably 2. 1 is too ambitious.
They just got
So
rid of
you
their
have to
head
wait
coach.
2 years. You have to wait 2 years.
Wait,
But
they just got rid of their head coach.
that's what I'm saying. There's been teams that have fired their coach after another year. Arizona Falcons, maybe. It's happened. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying you're probably looking at 2 years, and the quarterback and the coaching staff is both gone again. So, do you want a piece of that pie? No. But you've got him on your dynasty roster already. I think there's still value there. Either the coaching staff turns over in 2 years, or like you said, he goes elsewhere this off season or next. Really, that's your only hope.
I think they're going to give this coaching staff
still a good player. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that, I guess. I feel like with the injuries and everyone's kind of seeing that there's poking some holes in his game.
Yeah, for
I feel like this coaching staff is going to get a little bit of a leash here because I don't know if this coaching staff is married to Jalen Hurts. I think it was mainly more the front office. They're like, what if we just waited a year on quarterback?
Philly's one of those teams like Miami that have a ton of picks in the first 2 rounds of the next year or 2. So again, in 2022, they're going to be right up there at assuming Jalen Hurts fails, they're going to have a high pick, and there's talent coming. So it could be a 1 year thing, and then maybe the running back room thins out a little bit in 2022, and now we're only talking a year in Dynasty, and the coaching staff isn't bad. I don't know. But salvage what you can in Dynasty and redraft. I'm moving him down for sure.
Maybe Miles Sanders is the last man standing if the other 3 get hurt or injured or something, and we all look like a bunch of fools, I say.
And he wins championships for you. He's healthy at just the right time. Watch it. I told you so. And he'll be like, no, it doesn't count. He was hurt all year or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no. Anyways, let's move on to our second bit of news here. And this is kind of a small bit here. But Alejandro Villanueva was signed by the Ravens. And you might be asking yourself, isn't this fantasy football? Why do I care about that? Why should you care? Because Alejandro Villanueva was a top 30 tackle last season per PFF, of course, and he joins the other top 30 tackle on the Ravens offensive line in Ronnie Stanley. Villanueva might have to move to the right side, which maybe not the best option, but man, that makes him for some pretty good bookends. And I think this is definitely going to help Lamar Jackson, give him some time to run or give him some time to throw, maybe give him some room to run. And even more so, it's just like to me, it adds to my J.K. Dobbins love. I already like J.K. Dobbins, and
sure.
I don't like that Gus Edwards is there, but that's fine. I'm willing to deal with that.
Don't forget,
I just want J.K. Dobbins to have a little bit more, some more touches this season. With Mark Ingram being gone. So. I don't know. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Love J.K. Dobbins. I love him. You loved him before. Love him even a little bit more now.
Yep.
So upgrade the offensive line, boost the running back. So
boost the whole offense.
J.K. Dobbins, aces in my book.
I'm in a different spot with Dobbins, but we can get into that in another show. But overall, the offense. Overall the offense. It's like they say, tide raises all boats. Something like that.
That's definitely on the bingo board right there. Let's move on to you. Let's move on to your first guy, who is
Rondo Moore.
Okay.
So this is gonna be
surprising absolutely no one.
Yeah, right. Let's just get my Rondo Moore love out of the way. What I do like about this pick actually is it will be polarizing, especially when you start looking at it from either a redraft or a dynasty perspective. So wide receiver Purdue Cardinals took him in the second, the 49th pick overall. I jotted down the listed height and weight, which I don't believe is accurate at 5'9", 180. Although I'm sure the 180 is accurate. He's only 20 years old. That's very important to mention from a dynasty perspective, especially when you're talking about the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th spot in a rookie dynasty draft. Where do you go? We'll get into that a little bit more here in a sec. So I already touched on that. Let me be clear. This is more of a dynasty take. Because the situation is a little more murky in redraft. He's got an ADP of the 107 in rookie dynasty draft. So for those who don't know at home, that's the 7th pick overall in the first round. 1.07 is how you list it.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
How do you feel about that? If you were sitting there with the 7th pick in the first round, would you take Rondale Moore?
Yes. You heard my big sigh. There's a little bit of reluctancy there, but I think that is more of a product of this particular draft as far as rookies go, and that 7th or 8th spot, which is literally where I'm at in my own draft. It's like a move up or move down spot.
Would you rather have Rondale Moore or the guy I'm about to talk about in just a second, Terrace Marshall?
Probably more. The better name for me.
Sorry, I just kind of gauging your interest. So keep going.
You're good.
Sorry.
Another good name to throw out there is Bateman. That would be the closer one of the two for me. I might go Bateman, but again, that's where we're at. Is the 107 in Dynasty ADP. So my positives here about the player and the destination are, first of all, as I touched on already, this is more of a dynasty thing than a redraft, because I'm not so sure that there's an offense out there that is more suited to put this guy into the correct role than the Cardinals. Maybe you could argue the Saints, who has had Darren Sproles on their roster, who flourished there. And I know that's a running back, and Rondo Moore is a receiver, and a very accomplished college receiver. What?
The Saints kind of have a Rondale Moore right now in that real small guy.
Special teamer guy.
Something Harris. I can't remember his first name.
Agreed.
But yeah, he's super fast. Maybe not as big as Rondale, like as far as how yoked he is, but you know.
Right. Speedy.
I mean, yeah,
but speedy.
Yep, very small, speedy guy.
Mm-hmm. And remember, Cardinals are the team. They're going to run 3 and 4 wide the most in the NFL, especially 4 wide, which is a bit of an oddball in today's pro style offenses. But remember, this pro style has shifted a little to be more college like, and in particularly the coach and the offensive coordinator of the Cardinals, Kingsbury. So I see the marriage between Kyler and Rondale Moore being great for years to come. No, Moore is not going to take the spot of a Hopkins or a true outside alpha number 1. No, that's not what he's meant to be. However, Kingsbury did not draft Christian Kirk. Me and Josh are Christian Kirk fans, so this actually hurts a little bit. But I think Rondale Moore is a rich man's Christian Kirk, and ironically in a better body, like just a epic athlete, folks. I know the height is deceiving, but you don't understand what this dude can do with the ball in his hands. And when you hear that, you think more gadgety, but he's a very accomplished receiver too, along the lines of a Tyreek Hill. Solid hands in a sprinter athlete body.
What did you say his height was listed at?
It's listed at 5'9", but I don't believe it. I think it's closer to 5'7".
It might be 5'8".
I think it's closer to 5'7" than it is 5'9", but it's probably 5'7" and change. I feel like we talked about it a few weeks ago.
5'10", so. And I'm looking at a picture of Tyreek Hill right now, and that dude is just ripped.
Again,
ridiculous.
Just you got to remember when people talk about athletes, I say people, us, draft nicks, draft analysts, in particular player profiler people. There's different archetypes of amazing athletes, including an offensive lineman who's 6'6", 315, and just quick as heck on his feet, or a Rondale Moore, 5'7.5", 185. Not only is he's got that low center of gravity, he can frickin' squat, I don't know what it was, 600 pounds. It shows explosiveness.
It was like 700.
Yeah, shows explosiveness in his lower end. Yes, his hips and his butt, folks, his legs, they will explode him forward on the field of play. All the way to, your Megatrons and your Kyle Pitts, those long, lean athletes. They're all over the place, and this guy's going to be great.
And I think it's something that, I'm sorry if I wasn't listening, that maybe we need to be very clear here is that you're talking dynasty. You're not talking.
I hit on it a couple times, but no, it's good to hit it home again for sure.
You're definitely not talking like redraft this year. Maybe not this year, but it could be like, say AJ Green goes by the wayside after this year. Maybe Andy Isabella does as well. Christian Kirk kind of sits there in limbo. I think he's on his last year of his contract. He's in the contract year.
As a second round player, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe we are correct in this one. So I just wanted to make sure that folks knew that it's like, Chris loves this guy. I think that he's just a slightly smaller Tyreek Hill, that sort of dude, which is cool. I don't know. Like for redraft this year, I'm just really just kind of like, I think that there could have been
I think you'd rather wait and see in redraft.
Much better situation than he could have landed into than Arizona. But, I worry Dynasty usually In Dynasty, you're not usually drafting, especially in the first round. You're not usually drafting. You're not, especially in the second half of the first round. You're not usually drafting for a player that you're going to play this year. You're drafting for the up and coming years.
Traits and potential.
Let's yeah. All right. Were you done there?
I was. Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let's move on to my first guy. Like as I mentioned, is Terrace Marshall. Guy I personally love. He is one of, I don't know how he slipped to 59. I really, really don't. But he landed in Carolina, which maybe not the greatest situation, but after the Panthers
in terms of wide receivers in front of him.
Yeah, but after the Panthers let Curtis Samuel get signed by the Washington football team, that I don't know. I kind of like it actually. And I mean, it gives Sam Darnold another
whom we'll talk about later in the
another
show.
weapon. And I mean, I'm sorry I didn't write this. Oh, I did write it down. I mean, he unofficial, of course, he ran a 4.38 40 in his pro day, and he's also 6'3". He's only 205. I'd like to see that kind of like get bumped up. And when we talked about him pre-draft and everything, I really love this dude, and he could definitely be a one, especially if they wanted to move on from Robbie Anderson after this year or even the year after. And don't forget, folks, that the Panthers did run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets too.
Oh,
they barely really
a ton this year. Speaking of the Cardinals,
and they rarely use their tight end last year either. So my next guy that I'm going to be talking about is their tight end that they drafted, but I don't want to get ahead of myself here. I just like, I guess the only guy too that the other bump in the road is that the Panthers just did sign David Moore away from the Seahawks, but he's a real small guy. He's just a small, speedy dude. So yeah. And I think David Moore is going to be, he might be sitting ahead of Terrace Marshall in the depth chart right now, but I think maybe by halfway through the season, it could easily be Terrace Marshall sitting there as wide receiver 3. You could definitely see him being in there in end zone packages, short yardage situations, a guy to be there, a big tall guy to be there for jump balls and whatever, especially in the end zone. So I really, really like him. I also think that, just to further downplay David Moore, is that he's never had more than 45 receptions in a season or more than 45 yards. You could argue that was because he was stuck in Seattle. You could argue that,
and stuck behind 2 very good receivers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And you wouldn't be wrong, but I just don't think that David Moore is really more than just I go fast in a straight line guy.
I think David Moore is a depth signing. I think David Moore is the type of signing you have before the draft to make sure you don't have to force yourself into taking a receiver because you're comfortable with starting him at your 3 or your 4.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So, and if Terrace Marshall were to actually if they could get him to hit the weight room and bulk up a little bit, he could definitely become, in like a couple of years, could become their wide receiver 1. Very
I don't think
easily.
It's out of the realm of possibility. I'd still lean DJ Moore. But
right.
God, how many Moores are there? More Moores.
We need more Moores.
Speak of the devil, I've got another one coming up in a second.
Gets on the phone and be like, "Is that guy's name last name Moore?" No, it is now. We need more.
I thought you were going to say, "Then I don't want him." Goodbye. Click.
Michael Moore, we need you in the NFL.
Michael Moore. I can only play long snapper. Fine. Signed. They lose the Super Bowl.
Center for you. I don't know why I just gave him a bit of an English accent because he certainly doesn't have one. But anyways, so yeah, Terrace Marshall. I mean, personally, I would be taking him ahead of your Rondo Moore, and I didn't look up rookie ADPs for any of my guys because I don't know. I mean, I feel like okay. So I'm new to Dynasty. I'll admit it. But I feel like dynasty drafts are kind of more dependent on the league than they are, because you're usually drafting more of what you need than what. Am I wrong here?
You're right. Actually, similar to the real life NFL draft.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting there at the top at the 101 in a rookie draft, you're taking best player available because you're need the best player. But when you get halfway through that first round, you're probably more drafting like, man, I really need a running back over a wide receiver. I'm teaming with receivers. I don't need another receiver. I'll reach for a running back at this point.
For sure.
Even
though fantasy
or vice versa, you're like, man, I got all the running backs in the world. I really need a receiver, or I need a receiver for in like a couple of years. So I'm going to reach for this guy, or I need a quarterback now. I'm in win now mode. Like I'm a quarterback away, like my quarterback situation was terrible last year. Like I needed Trevor Lawrence.
Similar to the real life NFL draft is a breaking point, meaning if you're in the real NFL draft, usually within the first, let's say 3/4 of the first round, you're drafting best talent available.
Yep.
But very quickly, those first round talents run out. You start hitting 15, 19, 20 players, and you're like, okay, now those guys are gone. What do I need in the second round, third, and on? And yes, to a point, talent, best player available meets need, and that's when you have a great pick. But for the most part, best player available in a dynasty rookie draft, yes, it's more like the first, like you said, about half of the first round. Maybe more on a good year.
Yeah, I was going to say it also depends on draft class too.
Here's a great analogy. Let's put it this way. Usually when I'm stuck at 7, 8, 9, because I often am, because as we've discussed, I'm next year's champion. I can't get over that hump. So I'm always competing for the playoffs.
You're the Bills. We get
exactly.
It, yeah.
So my draft pick is a little bit later. I have managed to get a really good receiving core with those picks. The Chris Godwins of the world. Forgive me, my memory's failing now, but that's usually where those receivers fall to, and I've gotten really talented dudes there. I feel less better about that this year.
Yeah. All right. So why don't we keep rolling because we're kind of running along already. So, Chris, who's your next player?
I think we'll do more. I've got Elijah Moore.
More, please.
More. Wide receiver, Ole Miss, Jets, second round, 34th overall, so very early in the second round. 5'9", 185. His ADP for rookie drafts right now is 203. So that's the third pick of the second round. 21 years old. His last season, he had 86 receptions, 1,193 receiving yards, 13.9 average, 8 touchdowns in only 8 games. He's the Jets' new slot receiver. Kreider is going to get cut or maybe restructured, but he's on his way out. Like I said, they would save $10.375 million against the cap because only a very small portion of his contract is guaranteed this year. So yeah, he's probably on the way. He's like their highest paid player too. So for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Jamison Crowder. Like he's been pretty darn good when healthy.
It's not impressive. So is his salary in the terms of a slot receiver. There's only like 2 that are higher paid than him, and they're better than him, to be clear. But he's pretty darn good. I agree. So this is the type of receiver, kind of like Terrace Marshall we were just talking about. He's kind of hit that breaking point in a rookie dynasty draft where you're looking at these running backs that are left, where you're going to continue to go receiver because there's just a huge chunk in ADP of these receivers going in the second half of the first, beginning of the second. You're going to take him over like a Michael Carter or maybe another guy we'll talk about today, Trey Sermon. Where are you at in that area of the draft as far as as far as receiver versus running back?
It depends on my need, but I'm going to talk about Michael Carter here in a minute.
Yeah, no,
I think I'd rather have Carter just because you can find like wide receivers are out there, like
right. You're taking the
you're probably
approach that you have depth.
You're
at
probably
receiver,
okay at wide receiver. If you're picking in the back half of the first round, you're probably okay at least at wide receiver. And I mean, I don't think you can ever really have enough running backs. So I think I'd rather go Carter.
108 for, and you like Carter better than Sermon. I worry about Carter. Jets, right?
I'm not in love with them, but I love the situation. I think the situation is perfect for him
at the Jets because you really hate Coleman, and hey, justifiably so. I'm not going to sit.
He hasn't. Tell me what.
I'm not going to sit here and
defend Coleman's done.
No, I'm not going to defend Tevin Coleman. I just think sometimes people can be a little too dismissive of veterans that are in the way, especially early in the season. Again, this is the dynasty angled show a little bit because of the time of year.
Oh, for sure, man.
So I'm on your side there. So no, I can't sit here and say I like Elijah Moore as a winner and not say that I don't like Michael Carter, right?
I think with Elijah Moore though, like same with Carter, is that they both come to a team because they're coming to the same team, but there's
exactly.
room for them there. Like there's room for production potentially this year with them.
There'll be opportunity. There's no doubt these players there will be
I think
opportunity.
so.
I also
I think that they're like, and I don't know if, especially in redraft, I'm probably not touching him in the draft, but if he has a week or two where he does really well and it looks like he's kind of clicking with Zach Wilson, sure. I mean, Dynasty, yeah. I'd just rather have Carter in Dynasty just because running back.
Because of positional scarcity, period.
Exactly.
That's why I'm pushing you on it. I'm leaning a little more receiver at that slot, and I'm leading a little more these type of players. Elijah Moore, I really like this kid. He's going to be a great slot in the league. But that's all I've got on Moore.
Can you remind me where he came out? What school he came out of?
Ole Miss.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay,
a lot of good receivers coming out of Ole Miss.
Is he the one that did the dog peeing thing and got suspended for it?
Ooh,
pretty sure he is. As a touchdown celebration. Yeah, it was him.
That wasn't an NFL guy?
No, it was Elijah Moore. He scored a touchdown. He got on all fours and then lifted his back leg like he was peeing, and he got suspended for like a game, I think.
In hindsight, missing games for COVID, I kind of feel like that's a dumb reason to get suspended for a game, don't you? I mean, there's players out there accidentally hitting a quarterback in the head kind of and getting like suspended for the rest of an important game, and you're like, come on. Okay. All I'm saying is college needs to work on the rules a little bit, but we're trying to protect players, and peeing like a dog is not cool, I guess.
My virgin eyes have never seen a dog go to the restroom.
So correct me if I'm wrong. The coach in Jets is the old San Fran defensive coordinator, right?
Yes. And their offensive coordinator.
Okay, go
Their
ahead.
offensive coordinator was the quarterback coach for San Francisco or assistant OC.
I feel like some of these moves are suggesting a more pass-heavy attack, to be quite frank.
Why
I don't
wouldn't
think
it be?
Michael, because I feel like if you're a defensive-minded coach, you want more run. You want to possess the ball.
It's not always on the on the head coach though, too.
That's what I'm getting at. But again, the San Fran has the best running attack in the league, the best run scheming. San Fran schemes the best run plays in the league, hands down.
Okay.
Shanahan. So I would assume the quarterback's coach of San Fran has a bit of that philosophy with him. However, some of these roster moves I've seen suggest otherwise, because I think
San Francisco doesn't have a quarterback that can, with the flick of the wrist, bomb the ball 60 yards.
That's what I'm getting at, is the fact that Carter is not suited well for a 3-down role. He's more of a complementary pass catching back. The fact that the fact that Zach Wilson has a very live arm. I'm excited to see what they do coming out in the first few weeks swinging. Honestly, I think it's a little more.
Maybe they're not. And they take it a little slow, and then all of a sudden
that's what I'm saying. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe they realize they need to put some points on the board.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to, because their defense looks like it's not going to be very good this year.
And that's a fair assessment too. Yep.
Are we good to roll with?
No more.
Right, we're good to roll with my guy Tommy Tremble.
His last name isn't Moore. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to skip him, sir. Continue.
Dagnabbit. Well, we're still going to talk about Tommy Tremble. This is the Carolina Panthers player again, not a Panthers fan, but and this is definitely a dynasty move, and this is like a late dynasty move too.
Yeah. Even more so than we were talking about with the others.
I mean, he was a lot. Okay. And this falls into this category. Like I heard this on a podcast, like a month or two ago about just because a guy wasn't necessarily asked to do something in college doesn't mean he can't. And Tommy Tremble falls right into that category. He didn't get a lot of work at Notre Dame. He did run a 4.640.
Do you remember where Calvin Johnson played football at in school?
Calvin Johnson? I have no idea.
Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech runs like a freaking wishbone, dude.
That.
Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, yeah, and Demarius. Thomas, go ahead.
Right.
So, like you said, doesn't mean they can't do it.
Yeah, just because they weren't asked to doesn't mean they can't. He was mainly a lot of a blocker, and I saw some reports that he could be more like an H-back, like they could move him to like fullback, have him catch the ball, kind of think more of like a Kyle Juszczyk sort of dude.
Sure.
But I think like he could definitely be a tight end. I mean, a 4.640 at especially at 6'3", that's not terrible.
Absolutely.
And at the tight end position as well. So, and like I said, this is total dynasty dart throw here with this guy. But if he were to kind of like up his receiving game a little bit or show that he can, and yes, there's Dan Arnold and Ian Thomas in his way in the depth chart, but with him being a pretty darn good blocker, he could definitely be in there
Playing time.
a little bit more often.
For sure.
Just as a blocker, and then if you do a little chip block, and then you go out for a little route and catch the ball and show that you have some decent hands and you can make plays, this guy could easily turn into like a
fantasy
poor man's
contributor.
Gronk or something like that. Like, and he's not as big as Gronk, but still, like he could turn into a decent tight end. And I like the guy. He's it's just like there isn't a lot of film on him actually catching. I'm sorry. I'm not seeing how his production that I wrote down here. Oh, I'm sorry. He only had 35 receptions and 401 yards in 2 years of college play.
I'm about to say that's a career, right? That's a whole college career.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't, that
right.
doesn't necessarily say that he can't. It's just that Notre Dame didn't use him in that role, or I don't even know if they really used a tight end as far as a receiver at all. So
they used to be known for that.
Exactly. But Charlie Weiss, maybe when he was the coach there.
Rudolph was a good tight end out of there. Didn't the Bengals guy come out of there too?
Right about that time. Anyways, it's a name to put into dynasty players' heads. Tommy Tremble late in the draft. You need a tight end, like say you got a Travis Kelce entering the potentially the twilight years, has only a few years left. You got a Tommy Tremble sitting there on your team if you have a taxi squad like our league apparently used to have. Good guy to just kind of ride the pine there for a year or two, see if he has anything in the tank, and if he doesn't, well, you didn't really lose out much because you didn't put a lot of equity into him, so whatever.
Fair.
And Tommy Tremble, who's your next guy?
My next guy is Trey Sermon, running back, Ohio State, Niners. Niners moved up to 88th overall. That's in the 3rd round to get him. He's 6'1", 215.
This was an odd pick.
For myself or for them?
For them, not for you. I'm not going to besmirch your picks.
Well, I think that shows why he's on my winners list. He's going into a situation where his skill set suits perfectly for the zone blocking scheme that San Francisco runs better than anybody in the league.
Does it?
San Fran can scheme just about anybody into this offense and get them to produce on the ground. Yeah, absolutely. Having said that, obviously he's not the number 1 of the depth chart, maybe not even the number 2, but they did move up to get him, and Mostert is often injured. I think this is a great move. I think it's a great dynasty pick. What I like, I do like his ADP at 302. So that's the 2nd pick of the 3rd round. However, I heard, through the bushes, whatever, I've been hearing like late 1st.
I just saw that in a ranking. Mm-hmm. That's way too high. I'm sorry. When you said that he's a perfect fit for the 49ers in their zone blocking, usually they want a fast guy back there, and Trey Sermon is not fast.
Well, tell that to Shanahan, who moved up to get him. I think they want a little more size, perhaps, yet a guy who can still stick his foot in the ground.
He is big.
And hit the hole.
And I guess he did run a 4.57. I mean, he's not going to win a race with Raheem Mostert.
It's a little low, though. A little low. Or high, should I say. That's a little concerning, but, I'm gonna have faith in the personnel department. 3rd round is nothing to sneeze at as far as investment in a running back nowadays. Obviously the concern is there's a running back. It could potentially be a running back by committee. Do you want to play that whole game? I personally kind of ducked out on a particular trade involving a different committee approach and a different team. So I would not blame somebody for taking that into account. But I think this is a dynasty flavored show. I think you see what this guy does in the first half of the season, and very good flavor. And go from there, because I think he fits the scheme well, and I think Mostert, I don't think they owe Mostert anything at this point except maybe running him into the ground. So watch out for that. They'll move on. This could be the kid that they move on to.
Okay.
And if he's there at the end, again, I don't like that end. I don't know. I think it was.
Okay. This is according to the Fantasy Football Calculator. As of right now, his ADP is 302.
Yeah, that's where I got mine from, 302.
So and
that's fine.
I
I'll
like
take him
that.
I'll pay up and take him in the second. I'll take him at 202. Yeah.
I feel like I'd rather have Michael Carter, but that's just me.
I think that's where the rubber meets the road with me and you. I need to do a little more homework on Carter because I'm not
maybe
there with
would
you
rather
yet.
have. I think I'd maybe rather have Kenneth Gainwell, even though we just said that it's not a very good situation.
Nope.
I like the talent of Gainwell better than Sermon.
I'm going receiver all day long there over both those guys, I think.
No. I'm just saying like it in like we're looking at their ADP. I would rather at 302. I'd rather have Gainwell than, and Gainwell is going ahead of Trey Sermon in ADP, rightfully so.
I'll be very interested to see where Sermon goes in our draft. And if he goes in the first round, I might have to do an I told you so. I don't know. I worry about it. I don't know if I want to be right about it, honestly, because I might want to get him in the second. But
well, here might be the argument.
You were the one arguing running back positional scarcity on our last guy.
Exactly. And
so
well, the guy we haven't even talked about yet, actually. And here's the thing too, is that, and here's an argument that maybe Trey Sermon should go in the first round, is that because San Francisco rotates their backs so much, and I mean, it could be Raheem Mostert 1 week, next week it could easily be Trey Sermon. Easily.
And then Jeff Wilson comes in to snipe your touchdown.
And then here comes Jeff Wilson lumbering in, being like, "Hey guys, it's me, Jeff Wilson. Did you forget about me? No?
Yes,
okay,
yes,
well,
you're sitting
I'm
on the waiver
here.
wire where you've been for 7 weeks, you piece of never mind. He's a great person, I'm sure.
Not really. I'm just a dog turd. That's me, Jeff Wilson. No, I'm sure he is a good guy. But anyways, you know what I'm saying? So like maybe
absolutely.
You know, maybe if you are running back needy, like very running back needy, like maybe towards the beginning of the second
I feel like
might be
I'm always running back needy, and I have Zeke and
I think every dynasty team
Eckler.
is. Yeah, you know,
man, it's so difficult. So
it's crazy when I was going through the teams in our dynasty league that it's like,
man.
well, there's like one team that has like only 4, and I'm like, dude,
literally on their roster. I'm like, how did you let that happen? Like, I know I get flack for making a bad trade or pick up here and there, getting desperate and throwing running back darts, but gosh darn it, I need to throw running back darts because
in dynasty you have to, because they have such a short shelf life.
Well,
wow.
said.
Say that 5 times fast.
No.
Anyways, how about we move along here, because we're already running super, super long.
Yes, sir.
What?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, I agree completely.
Yes, sir. On to Michael Carter here. This is my third guy. We already kind of talked about him a little bit. He's a little guy at 5'8" and only 201. And he does have some issues when he's hit up high, and when he is hit, like sometimes he gets slowed down, and sometimes he slows down a little bit before getting hit as well. You know, like right before contact, will kind of slow down instead of like trying to power through it.
Like he's going to throttle down and try to make a move.
No, he just kind of he just kind of slows down and to initiate contact instead of speeding up or trying to like really hit that guy. And here's the one big problem with him. And it's not that big of a problem, but you know, you'd think for a little guy, he wouldn't run a 4.5, but he ran a 4.540. That's not exactly the greatest. I mean, he's like small Tevin Coleman, really, you know, like the Jets definitely have a guy, and it's Tevin Coleman-esque, you know, like,
and again, zone blocking from San Fran scheme. Tevin Coleman fits well in that scheme. He literally just came from San Fran. Maybe
he could, and I mean, Michael Carter, he's a capable blocker too. And here's the one thing that is great about him. He forced 47 missed tackles in the 2020 season, which is, then to give you how good that is, it's 6th best in all of college football.
That's saying
I mean,
for a guy who shared time, for a guy who shared time
with a guy we're not talking about today,
Devonte.
So Devonte Williams. And I did not love his situation that he went into. It's like they've had what's his name, man? The guy you hate. The Broncos.
I just play. Oh, Gordon. Yeah, I don't like his.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
have
like his
Melvin
position
Gordon,
either.
and then they have the next. And
I mean, I like Melvin
now they
Gordon,
have
but he
younger
sure as
Melvin
heck
Gordon.
he sure as heck is getting the ball. So I don't like the landing spot either. No.
Anyways, and also and here's the thing with Michael Carter is that he does special teams work. So I think he immediately has a spot on the Jets and he'll get some playing time and everything. And so therefore you could make a case that he should go higher in dynasty drafts because he definitely has like instant production written all over him for this team. I'm just not
But
sure
in the
exactly.
first round,
No. Ooh,
I know that.
am not
So what you're telling me is you're taking a butt ton of receivers after the first two running backs in this draft. After the first two receivers and Pitts are gone, the first two running backs are gone. You're talking all these receivers, man. Because who are you gonna?
yeah.
I'm complaining. I'm
It's two.
complaining.
I'm looking at the ADP right now.
Yeah.
It's two running backs, three receivers, then Kyle Pitts somehow, two more wide receivers, Trevor Lawrence, and then Devonte Williams.
And I'm sorry, which pick is that?
At pick one at 10, number 10.
See,
he's tied for pick one. He's tied with Trevor Lawrence as the 111.
And Rondale Moore's gone, right? At the 108 or
Rashad
whatever.
Bateman gone.
Bateman's gone too. Yeah, it's frustrating. I'm complaining. You know what we should do if we end up doing this? I won't tease it right now on this show, but maybe we should do it. Maybe we should do an ADP show. Point being, I'm sorry, where were we?
We were talking
Carter.
about Michael Carter and how he could potentially have day one value.
Yeah,
and so therefore maybe he should go higher than the 208. But I think that's kind of about right. Maybe somewhere in the middle of the
I'd be
second
willing
round.
to reach to the 201 probably. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
I'll put it that
ahead
way.
of Elijah Moore then, huh?
No, I'm probably taking Elijah Moore at the end of the first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Who's your number 4 guy that you wanted to talk about today?
Yeah, I'm going to push him pretty quick just because we're short on time, and I think we're having a good discussion about ADP and Dynasty. But let me continue. Josh Palmer, wide receiver from Tennessee, goes to the Chargers in the third round, 77th overall.
Love this pick.
6'2", 210. I like the situation because I think he's going to have some opportunity. There's nothing wrong with a third receiver and a good offense. He's a Canadian born by Jamaican parents. He was actually a basketball player for much of his high school career and whatnot. He's great at high pointing the ball, like you would think. The typical, basketball player turned tight end, but he's not quite that big, 6'2", 210. So he's got good hands for the position because he played basketball. Suffered from inferior quarterback play at Tennessee, but we're looking at a wide receiver core where, I don't feel so strongly about Mike Williams moving forward in the next year or two. We both love Allen. You got to accommodate for Eckler getting his targets, of course, one of the best in the league. But there's room there, and we're Herbert fans, and there's no reason to believe that these picks that are being made now are being made with Herbert in mind, because they're going to be staring that contract straight in the eye in the next couple of years, and these are the types of things you think about with Dynasty. So Palmer could move up that depth chart quickly. He's a traits player.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If Josh Palmer can improve his route running, I think he has the makings of being the next Keenan Allen. He's got good hands, about the same size, not that fast, but fast enough. Just saying, Keenan Allen's not getting any younger.
Keenan Allen produced more for sure. However, this third round pick of Palmer is a very good example of how in the real NFL draft, receivers very deep typically. And it's a similar story this year.
There is also, I don't remember the guy's name.
This is like a second round player you can wait till the third to take, is what I'm getting
There is also, the one thing about Josh Palmer is that he's definitely going to be number 4 on this depth chart because there is a third receiver in San Diego that we constantly forget about who kind of flashed towards the end of last year. I do not remember his name at all. It's like Carrion Johnson or something like that.
I can look up the depth chart, but otherwise I was done with Palmer. If you have anything, it's Palmer.
No, I just wanted to say that it's just because it's not going to be Palmer right behind
Mike Williams.
It's going to be this guy who I am looking up right about
now.
Who's there? It is. I was right. It was Tyron Johnson. Boom. Score 1 for Josh.
Okay.
Anyways.
I'll have to look.
Yeah, he kind of came on at, they have a Moore on their team. Is it like a prerequisite that every NFL team has a player with the last name Moore?
At least if we talk about him in tonight's show. So that's my Josh Palmer. If you want to move on, you got one more?
I have two.
Wait, of course. Well, I've got the vet, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and much like Michael Carter, I like his landing spot. It's more like he was drafted at pick 112 by the Detroit Lions, of course. He's out of USC. Just wanted to we've been kind of forgetting to say what schools these guys came from, so whatever, it's fine.
I think I got it. I think I got him. I got all mine.
Okay. Anyways, his main, like I said, his main appeal is situation and opportunity. He's got Tyrell Williams and Quintez Cephas and Brashad Perriman in front of him. But, I mean, Quintez Cephas is not that big, and he's also really slow, like a 5'7" slow. I didn't realize it was – yeah, I didn't realize
that has to be an
slow.
aberration. I mean, even if he's slow, that's almost like – the guy didn't click the stopwatch right or something.
Yeah, I mean, like I watched Cephas when he played at Wisconsin, and I was like, that seems pretty slow. I don't remember him looking that slow. It doesn't matter. Whatever. We're not talking about Cephas. We're talking about St. Brown here. And his brother Equinemius was undrafted. Oh, there you remember. The name sounds familiar now, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And both of their full names are like 40 letters long. Seriously. It's like 5 words, 40 letters long. It's crazy. Anyways, I believe they're of Egyptian descent, to be quite honest.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I think so. I don't remember. Anyways, so Amon St. Brown, he did run, of course, unofficial, a 4.51 40 time in his pro day, and he's only 5'11", but with I mean, I still like Tyrell Williams. He just spent all of 2020 injured for the Raiders. He was pretty good when he played with the Chargers. Yeah, that's 2-3 years ago by now. So he's 2 or 3 years older, but I still like Tyrell Williams. And if he can bounce back from his injury, cool. I'm just not a Brashad Perriman fan. I'm certainly not a Cephas fan, but I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown here, like I think it could be a pretty solid dynasty pick. It kind of depends on, injury. Like he's going to have to
play out in front of him for sure. Yeah. Another situational.
He's going to have to get some injuries to happen in front of him for him to maybe climb up into getting some playing
Correct
time.
Me if I'm wrong. Don't Tyrell Williams and Brashad Perriman have like 3,000 yard seasons between the two of them? I feel like Tyrell has 2,000 yard seasons. Am I wrong?
He has at least one for sure.
We know of one.
If not two.
And then I think Brashad, when he finally, whatever, I can't say he hit.
I don't think he has 1,000.
You don't think that one breakout season, which was a late breakout season, was 1,000 yards? Okay, I digress.
When he was with the Bucks, no,
it was the Bucks. Thank you.
Yep, it was a couple years ago. Anyways, I mean, like I'm not gonna say Amon-Ra St. Brown is like a world beater or anything. Like I said, he's only 5'11", not even 200 pounds. Not the fastest guy in the world, but it's more of opportunity. That and who's to say in a couple years that maybe he is only like the slot receiver or whatever, which I'm sorry to bring up that point, he was slot receiver in 2019 for USC, and when he ran 88% of his snaps out of the slot in 2019, and you know what he did that year? He had over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns.
I like that.
So he could easily become the Lions slot receiver very, very easily. And Jared Goff did with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp kind of bouncing all over the field, but Kupp mainly playing in the slot. He really thrived. Goff did throwing to Kupp in the 2019 season.
I love it.
So
I love it. That is
I could easily see
dynasty
St. Brown,
dive, folks. That's a
sorry,
dynasty.
say what now?
That is a dynasty deep dive, folks. That's a great traits, college production, late-ish round. I mean, what's his ADP for goodness sakes? Like that's a good pick.
It's higher than you think. Just take a stab at it.
3rd round, 302. Oh, I already know who the 302 is. 305.
I lost him. Where did you go, buddy?
Oh, Where
did you go?
Not him specifically. People a minute ago.
The 112, tied
Oh,
with
gosh.
Terrace Marshall for the 112.
I apologize, guys. That is not a deep dive. I just guess I hadn't done enough homework.
I
Wow.
hadn't either. I was like I said, when I was trying to pick out players for the show, I was just kind of, I'm like, ooh, that's a pretty good situation right there. Let's look at that guy, And so, like, St. Brown being Goff's slot receiver, maybe not this year, but maybe in year 2, if Goff even makes it to a year 2 in Detroit, like, that could be a real thing right there, man.
I still think I feel better about Elijah Moore and Terrace Marshall in that area.
I think that's way too high myself, but hey, whatever, man.
Oh,
Whatever.
for St. Brown? Yeah, I think we're on the same page. Now Rashad Bateman. Anyway, let's not do that again.
Let's roll. Let's
like
roll into our vets, and let's do it real quick.
Yes. I'm up first, right?
Yeah.
All right, we've kind of already echoed this about this team. Panthers. Sam Darnold is my pick.
We're not Panthers fans.
We're not Panthers fans, but I think what I wanted to do with my vet pick about winners in the draft was something that touched all bases, something that a quarterback, a position in an offense where you're raising the level of all these players, your DJ Moores, etc. Players we've already touched on here. Panthers have done for Darnold what the Jets and Gase never did, and I love it. I am high on this offense for fantasy purposes. He'll get a healthy CMC, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall Jr. They drafted these folks, also offensive tackle Brady Christensen, tight end Tommy Tremble, who Josh talked about, a great name, and running. We didn't even touch on running back Chuba Hubbard. We hope. I know as a fantasy fan, I want to see less CMC. I know that sounds crazy because he just got hurt, and we want to see 90% in all the fantasy points.
And Chuba Hubbard too is Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba.
He's a very like CMC-esque kind of guy.
He's quick. He's fast, guys. This is a sprinter. So he's going to be schemed. He's not going to be running into this is going to be called in the right plays. We're going to see what I believe they should do. We'll see a breather for CMC here and there, and it'll greatly help CMC's production and longevity because we're staring an 18-game season straight in the eyes.
17.
I'm sorry, 17. 18 in 2 or 3 years, probably.
Probably.
So yeah, I'm big on what Darnold's going to do in this offense. Just great value if you're a streamer and redraft. You might even be able to not draft this guy and pick him up on waivers.
Sam Darnold. Yeah. And I think
in redraft single quarterback leagues.
I think the big thing to say about Sam Darnold too, and why he's a big winner, is they didn't draft a quarterback at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the last thing I had about him is schematically, he's going to have speed and yak all over the offense. The defenses are going to have a tough time keeping up with this offense. And if the defense can just improve a bit, I'm high on what this offense can do. I know it's Sam Darnold. Yep. I know it's a little bit polarizing, but I'm a fan this year.
This front office and or coaching staff, they apparently really see something in Sam Darnold, and they're just going to take his Jets career and throw it out the window, or his Jets career, and just chalk it up to Adam Gase being Gase. And just being a kind of an incompetent fop, just throw it out the window. They see that they can mold Sam Darnold into something, and
the
really,
kid was
if
a
anything,
first-round pick, out of a big-time college guy. So it doesn't mean that he's going to hit. It just means might be something there. Yeah.
Yep. My veteran guy that I wanted to spotlight, who's a winner from the draft, I actually cheated on this one because it's our show and we can break our own rules, right?
Okay.
I cheated and I went with Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet. Now you might want to say, well, why not Allen Robinson? Well, everyone knows who Allen Robinson is, so I wanted to go a little bit deeper on the Bears.
That's why I did the same. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, a lot of people know who Darnell Mooney is too. But I think that Mooney has a lot of opportunity ahead of him, especially with even if it's Andy Dalton to start the season with, because you're going to have Allen Robinson and he's going to get the best coverage. Darnell Mooney's going to be there on the other side. Do you know? I told you beforehand, but did you know how many targets that Mooney had last year with Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky? How terrible those targets were. What's that?
Right around 100.
Yep, it was just shy of 100 at 98. Caught 61 of those for 631 yards. That's almost 10 yards of reception.
60% or whatever that is.
It's more than what's that?
That's a 60% catch rate ish off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
60% of the time
That's
it works
pretty
every
impressive
time.
with Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles.
Well,
Quite.
and
That's,
this coaching staff and like they know what Mooney can do. They were trying to get him the ball. Like they were designing plays to get Darnell Mooney the ball. And Cole Kmet is their tight end. Yes, I know Jimmy Graham is still there. I know that. But I think Jimmy Graham at this point in his career is a short yardage / end zone guy.
absolutely.
That's all
He's not
there
going to do much
for.
between the 20s.
Exactly. I think that's going to be Cole Kmet. I think that this Cole Kmet could be a real breakout tight end this season. I mean, Andy Dalton has histories of using his tight ends going back to his Cincinnati days. He did it with Dallas as well with whatever that guy's name is. That was
a Notre Dame kid that we can't remember the name. The other Notre Dame tight end.
Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to throw those two names out there real quick, and that these guys are winners from this. They came out as winners in this draft. Allen Robinson as well. They got Justin Fields. So even at some point, even if Fields starts this season, I mean, everyone always says a tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. I think that's going to be mainly Cole Kmet. And I mean, the Bears used 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago they used a second round pick on the guy. So obviously, and it was this front office too. So and he was like the best tight end in that draft. So I just think that Cole Kmet he just has like breakout potential written all over him. Darnell Mooney, same way, like he kind of broke out last year anyways. I would like to see more touchdowns, but with better quarterbacking, both these guys can get better.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we said at the top of the show, next week we are doing the losers of the NFL draft, and
losers.
I'm not going to say that Rondo Moore was a loser, but he certainly was for redraft, and that's probably all I'm going to say about that.
You're going to tease it, okay? Maybe we'll talk.
That's probably all I'm going to say about that. So we're going to do losers next week. We're going to try and figure out how to stream a mock draft.
Yes, it's happening.
We are talking about moving over to stream on Twitch or on YouTube instead of Twitch. Mainly that is just some behind the scenes things that we decided to do. We don't need to bore you with the details. But if you're watching us on YouTube, you can check us out in podcast format wherever you can get your podcasts, whether it is from Google or Apple. If it is on Apple, please rate and review us. That's always great. If it is from Stan, your local podcast dealer that you got them from behind your grocery store, probably not the best way to get a podcast, but hey, whatever, you got to do what you got to do, right? If you are listening in podcast format, you can watch us on YouTube. Every episode is available in video format, and you can find us on YouTube or the Ukrainian dark web, whatever. It doesn't really matter to us. We just care that you watch us, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your frenemies
button, so when we go live, on YouTube. I'm telling you folks, it's happening in the next few weeks.
And so we will be streaming, and as of right now, we have a Twitch channel, but eventually there will be a YouTube channel for streaming. We already have a YouTube video channel, as I just mentioned. Chris, you got vaccinated, right? How did that work out for you?
Worked out great. I got it done right before your visit last week.
You got the tired's, but that was about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wiped me out, but I just think it's a matter of body type and maybe even heredity. Like, it's just, it
I got vaccinated, like, I think it's been 3 months now or something like that I've been vaccinated. Yeah, 3 months. And I had zero side effects. So if you haven't been vaccinated, please go get your vaccine. Yeah. Anyone will do. They're all pretty much exactly the same. So other than one's one shot and the other are twos, whatever. Until then, until they tell us to stop wearing masks, please keep wearing your mask. It is important for all those who have not been vaccinated, and vaccines only work up to, like a certain percentage too. And when you have millions of people vaccinated, some people are going to slip through the cracks and still get sick.
Fair.
So keep wearing your mask until they tell us not to. Until then, everyone, have a goodbye and stay safe. We love you.
Peace.